Bare your soul and recount the real drama, especially the transitions. All right, sounds good to me. The world is going through a big transition. I've been through some uh, devastating transitions, um, but I'm okay. So don't worry about me. I hope you guys are amazing. I hope you guys are navigating this turbulent time of change. I don't have a script for this video. I don't have an epic drone shot or music or edits and cuts to keep your attention, to create drama in this drama addicted society that we live in this attention economy where we're we're all in this race, in this competition to get attention. Um, every business needs attention, and that was my role at Life Afar, was creating content to get attention. It began using SEO, search engine optimization, to create written articles. So when people Google, apartments in Colombia, Colombia real estate, our website shows up. 2016, I saw an opportunity to make videos on YouTube. And so I used those same search engine optimization skills to create videos, to connect with people, to get attention from people that we want to do business with. Now, what, 4, 6 years later, here we are, beginning a new chapter, constant beginning of new chapters over the last couple of years. But let me take you back before we get to where we are. Not everyone knows that I graduated university in Australia to a very generic business degree. It was called the University for the Real World, but their version of the real world was a generic business degree that trained a lot of people how to be employees. And I knew that being an employee was not a path to freedom of time or of money. And so I went exploring the world, looking for other opportunities, looking for other things to do. I went to South Korea. I taught English in South Korea for a year. Then I went to Canada. I have citizenship due to my father. I don't know my father. We've actually spoken for the first time a couple times this year, which has been interesting. I grew up learning from the world. I didn't grow up with a set way of doing things, a strong figure of this is how things should be done. So I developed the ability to learn, and the internet, the late 90s internet, was a really inspiring place, and I learned a lot, and I used the internet to learn a lot of the things that the world around me wasn't teaching, especially in a small town in Australia. But I knew that I needed real world experience. We had the internet, we had computers in the 90s and the 2000s, but the world wasn't living like it. Like, Google came along, that was inspiring. You can find all the information, but we've just kind of plateaued since then. Yeah, sure, social media, we're connecting and sharing more, but I remember just being really inspired by the late 90s internet and how it's going to, truly change the world. And I think now we're finally starting to realize some of those changes. But I found myself in Canada, uh, and didn't find opportunities. I just found more jobs, and so I started riding a motorbike to South America. On the way back to Australia, I was going to return to the real world. I came across Colombia. This is 2010. I saw in Colombia that there was an opportunity to create quality of life. I saw the Colombian dream, and I was inspired. And I'm like, well, why can't I make a life here? And I saw a country that had so much more than the Costa Rica and the Panama that were popular at the time. And I also saw that no matter where someone made their wealth, they always invested in real estate. Real estate was a fundamental skill of people who had built wealth. And I'd worked in a paint shop in Canada for a couple of years. I saved up about $15,000 to get my motorbike, and then through the travels, I arrived to Colombia with about $2,000. And I tried a bunch of other ways to make pesos in Colombia and sustain a life afar. And it was a blog that I started in real estate, optimizing articles to rank in Google for Colombia real estate, apartments in Bogota. I fell in love with Bogota, the downtown centro of Bogota in 2010. What an exciting place to be, a cross section of every strato, every departamento in Colombia. It was a fascinating mix of order and chaos, and I love that place. I think things would have been differently if I had found myself in the more predictable El Poblado. But I decided to do real estate in Bogota and learned the disadvantage of not being focused, of not identifying clearly who you're helping and for what. We were working in residential, in divorce contracts, in hotels, commercials, commercial lots. We worked with a pawnbroker, some Mennonites from Mexico who wanted to look at some land. We were all over the place. But it was 2016 when we dialed in on the short-term rental investment model. A group of fellow traveling entrepreneurs in Medellin had developed a really successful turnkey passive income real estate investment model. And we were early movers in a emerging market, in various emerging markets. And I almost merged myself out of a role because my focus had been on investor relations and sales and content marketing, which were roles that were already fulfilled when I merged my Bogota, real estate brokerage with the Medellin group. And I started in property management, but I also saw an opportunity to create videos online. This is when Grant Cardone and Gary Vee were really starting to kind of build empires in the digital. And I saw what they were doing, and I saw that I had a motorbike. I had a really exciting real estate business in a exotic location. I knew I could get a drone, and I had some basic editing skills from back in the day. So I picked up the camera and started vlogging, and it began a fascinating chapter in many of our lives, and that's the reason that we know each other right now. And it's changed my life, and it changed our business. I guess 5 million views on YouTube and 15 million views over other social networks, over 50 million raised in our company, 28 million valuation at one point. We went on quite a ride. I believe we were building the sexiest brand on the planet. Literally, we had identified the most exciting exotic locations from Medellin to Puerto Rico to Portugal. We were developing apartments, developing the type of accommodation that is still not being met very well in between hotels and Airbnbs. It's all about timing, and our timing was perfect. We had a unicorn real estate company on our hands. The people that I went into business with had already had progress when I joined them, before I started the YouTube. So, I had about 3 or 4% of the company at that time, and it was over the next 2 or 3 years that they started taking outside investment and bringing on people to take our company to a international level, to an international scale. And that's when the internal infighting began, the drama. What is the real drama? Everyone has a different story to tell. Now, I was in Bogota. I was based in Bogota at the time. Our headquarters was in El Poblado. We formed a board of directors. We had conflicts of interest in the people who were managing the company. We had egos. We had highly educated, smart people spending years in the boardroom fighting to get more control of the company, more equity, to power and money, essentially. One by one, the original founders were being exited from the company. At that point, we were optimizing our legal entity between Colombia, Panama, Puerto Rico, the US, as we were expanding internationally. So it required very, very expensive lawyers to negotiate and keep up with the operating agreements that were being formed as we were growing through these entities. Our internal lawyer, as well as some of the new talent that we had brought onto the company to help us grow, formed an alliance. They even made a what's up, the $100 million club. That was their kind of rallying call, right? Because it was them who were going to take us to 100 million. Now, I was not in this what's up group. Most of the original founders were not in this what's up group. And one by one, they picked us off. And what a process. What a raw, brutal, exploitative, corporately normal experience. From Bogota, I knew that shit was going down. That's why I made the decision to move to Medellin. I arrived to Medellin in February of 2020, 1 week before the world shut down. I remember being in the office in Medellin and it being quite empty because the lockdowns had kind of already started. I was hiring a video production assistant to start highlighting the Medellin life. We had 120 apartments in Medellin that we were managing. I hadn't properly shown you Medellin. I'd always kind of done it as coming in from Bogota. Here's like Laureles, here's Poblado, like showing a little bit, but not like really like I'd shown you Bogota. So, I was ready to go. And when the shutdown happened, it created a lot of fear, doubt, uncertainty, created opportunities for a lot of paper shuffling. And the management at the time took advantage of that. And with the justification that our payroll, we had 110 people on payroll. So there was a lot of real justification to start making some of the moves that they did. But one of those moves was offering to the investors who had invested in our first crowdfunded Airbnb projects to take ownership in the Life Afar entity. Now, this is where I was not part of these conversations or offers, so I don't know if it was which entity it was, because we had multiple from Colombia to Puerto Rico types of entities. The investors in the projects who own SASs who owned companies that owned each of these cash flowing assets was offered equity in Life afar, and then Life afar would have ownership of the real estate properties. It was a mixed bag, caused quite a bit of drama, and a lot of people saw it as a a cash grab, an asset grab. This is when shit started to hit the fan. I'm on a finca in Fredonia, in the lockdown, in the quarantine. The offices are empty. Part of the management is in Puerto Rico. No one really knows what's going on. We're getting emails going out. There's back and forth between the legal reps of each of the assets that we had developed and promised administration to, property management, right? We'll find the property, we'll renovate it, we'll furnish it, we'll administer it for you. And they said, as of tomorrow, we're not going to manage those properties. You don't want to take our deal, we're not going to manage those properties. Which to this day irks me, how they could treat the people that we had relationships with for so many years and had grown with, and to kind of do that. They obviously wanted to focus on the big money deals that we were getting involved in Puerto Rico. Another perfectly timed play with Puerto Rico up and coming, the opportunity zones, the tax incentives. It was another home run that our company had positioned ourselves in. They obviously wanted to focus on those types of deals where a unit will rent out for $500 to $800 a night. They wanted to go for those types of deals, and meanwhile, they were creating new entities and excluding the original founders from the deal. Was I being naive? I look back and I think, what would I have done differently? What could I have done differently from my position, right? And some of you thought that I was like the CEO of this company, also editing the blogs. No, like we had a board of directors at this point. So, if there wasn't that lockdown, if there was a physical location, I could have grabbed the GoPro and kind of shown this process more transparently. I was kept out of that boardroom for a reason. So I don't know what I would have done differently, but I do know how it's changed me and how it's changed how I'll be doing business in the future. Eventually, I was given an ultimatum: are you on board with us or not? And I said, of course I'm on board. Not only did I come up with the name Life Afar itself, I have spent 10 years of my best working years building this brand, creating a movement to inspire people to live, travel, and invest from anywhere, to use the tools that are at our disposal, to invest in passive cash flowing assets, to generate this freedom of time. I was truly living our brand mission and vision. And maybe I didn't word that email the wrong way, but the next word I got back was a call from a couple people that had actually found about our company through my videos, with the news that I was being, kicked out from the company, and they were offering a severance of $1,000 a month for the next 3 months. And I was to hand over my YouTube channel, all of my stuff as well. So that was a kick in the balls. That was a pretty big kick in the balls. They obviously, you can imagine, educated professionals who are making the tough decisions to manage this company, to trim the fat, to grow this company. And they're seeing me, who has probably one of the greatest jobs in the world at that point, riding around my motorbike to our various Airbnbs and having fun and showing the world this, and also getting a lot of credit for the growth of the company, which I know was very difficult for them to manage. And the types of words and sentiments that uh, they reportedly said about myself and other partners in the boardroom was pretty despicable. It was pretty disgusting. So when I was kicked out of the company that I was a co-founder of, uh, it it set me off on the path wherever I am right now. So what's the real drama? Where's the real drama? I always knew at the back of my head that it could go away at any point. I knew that this, we were on such an amazing trajectory, but it could all disappear. And we had always put our salaries, like we'd always taken salary cuts. At one point, or at the highest point, I was making 7 million pesos for the last year or two, which was about $1,800, $2,000 at that point. For the first 6 years, I made nothing, and for a couple of years, I made 3 million pesos. So all I had always, along with the other original partners, we had always put the majority of the profits back into this business to grow it. And I had the majority of my equity and life's kind of equity in that business. And I was now being forced to walk away empty-handed. I had started dollar cost averaging into crypto. I had used my late 90s internet skills to dive deep into the Web3 and crypto rabbit holes, identified some emerging cryptos, through 2019, 2018. And I'd probably put about $5,000 at that point, just savings from my salary, piece by piece. During 2020, we started getting a nice bull run for that portfolio. I think at the peak, my portfolio reached about $50,000. I was living off that crypto portfolio because we didn't come to an agreement with the severance package. And so I was living off crypto, and it was pumping. So I actually was doing pretty good there for the last couple of years, until obviously the bear this previous year. I got into a relationship. I started traveling internationally. I saw inside the guts of a network marketing company, which was extremely insightful, considering that we are now all network marketers if we're creating social profiles online. Our attention and our presence online is creating value on those networks. So when we have a profile on Instagram and we share our Instagram, we are network marketers. But I got to see inside the real network marketing, as well as a bunch of other high-risk crypto investments. I shared them on this channel. I hope I made it very clear that this is a very high-risk strategy, even higher risk than emerging market real estate in Latin America. So after some international travels, after Miami, after finishing that relationship, I found myself completely tapped out. This is July, August of 2022, and I came back to Medellin. Couldn't afford rent. Had to sleep on a couple couches, some friends, and I looked for a place where I could reset. I was considering Santa Elena or Guatape. I found this amazing place in Guatape, and over the past 4 or 5 months, I've reset my energy. I've reconnected to what I saw when I first left Life Afar, in terms of how I'm going to be using the internet, how I'm going to be living, and kind of continuing into the next chapter. So I've created a map. It's going to fly over a lot of people's heads, but this map is essentially going to be my home screen for the metaverse. It's going to be my browser of the internet. I'm not gonna go too deep into that, because I know a lot of people came to me for travel and Colombia and, like, the culture, the adventure, escaping the matrix, right? The life afar. And so when I talk about Web3, when I talk about AI and tech and the metaverse, like, it's really important. This is like, the Great Reset is literally our matrix, our system being moved on to this new tech. So it's extremely important, but I know that, for that and other reasons, when I upload videos about that, I know my current audience, didn't come to me for that. So I'm taking a hit in terms of, the reach that I'll get as I kind of share these types of videos. We're in this attention economy, and the brands and the networks that we use, whether it's WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of these are networks. They're just databases of networks of databases. The ones that we pay attention to, the ones we have on our home screen, we're investing. Our attention is the commodity. It's the new oil. It's the scarce commodity. We only have a certain amount of hours and minutes and seconds and eyeballs on this planet. So it's really important we understand that, because that is creating our future. The things we pay attention to online are creating our future. And this is where I get a little bit out there. But I see really clearly what's happening and what's going down. I don't know exactly how it's playing out, but I see some really fundamental ideas that I think a lot more people would benefit to understand, to become aware of how we're using the internet and our attention. So I do want to clarify, when the investors were left with the investments, they still own the properties. There's been a bunch of rumors that I've heard circulating. Everything from, they took the investments to Puerto Rico. They were running a pedophile ring out of the apartments. All types of pretty out there accusations. The investors own the properties. I believe all of them except for one is doing extremely well. Obviously, Medellin is going viral, owning a cash flowing asset in Colombia, as it's going viral, as all of these tourists are coming from everywhere. Airbnbs are, they're people are paying top dollars for Airbnbs right now. So what a amazing asset to own. So the investors have those. As I return to Medellin, I will be updating you all on the projects that I've shown you there. I've got nothing to hide. I want to show you transparently how those investments are going, what's working, what's not working, and we'll go from there. But I will be showing you that. That's an important part of this story. The asset class is something to keep an eye on this decade. So where am I now? Well, that's why I created a map. I don't want to limit myself to where I'm going and what I'm doing right now. I have some really big ideas, and I can't go back to anything less exciting than what we were doing. So I have a ecosystem of brands and networks that I'm building brick by brick to live in congruence with the opportunities of today. One of the first brands that I built when I left Life Afar was Flowwolf. It's a posture correction dojo. I create TikToks because I love creating videos. And ultimately on the internet, it's about traffic and an offer. And my offer is to elongate, align, and strengthen people who have postures that are mild to severe. I have an 85-degree kyphoscoliosis, and I'm working with about 100 people inside of a virtual posture dojo to help them improve their posture using breath, using elongating, strength building exercises, some techniques that I've developed through my own kind of process. And that's really rewarding because some of you saw on this channel, I had a health scare a few years ago. And in that process, I've literally unfolded myself. My psoas hip flexors were literally choking me out from the inside, shutting down my system, bringing me very close to a scary place. And since then, I've increased my height, I've corrected my posture, and I've got a lot of things to share in that space. So I'm doing that using a Telegram channel on my phone, and I'm creating videos on my phone. So I'm generating traffic using my phone with video, and I'm delivering the offer, the service, through my phone as well. So I want to spend more time in nature, more time offline, more time being present in the physical, and that business allowed me to do that. It's actually how I first dug myself out of the hole. Eating ramen noodles and being able to create TikToks and set up a business really kind of helped get me off my feet there. Health will always be a focus. Health is my number one focus, and by focusing on my health, I can document that process by creating videos, and those videos can help other people in their healing process. So that's a really rewarding venture that I'm getting involved in. But I have bigger dreams of real estate, of finding my own Colombian dream, and I want to. I've got to catch up. I don't try. I try not to compare myself to other people, but I've recently turned 38. I don't have too much of a portfolio to show for myself, so I've got to catch up. How am I going to catch up? Well, I'm going to dive into the belly of the beast, into the guts of the matrix. And what does the matrix want? Well, that's what I discovered in the rabbit holes of Web3, in the rabbit holes of network marketing, in the rabbit holes of doing business online. Every brand, every network wants to grow in users, to grow in sales, to get attention. So as someone who enjoys creating content and the search engine optimization skills to grow brands, which I have demonstrated, that is my vehicle uh, to to rapidly build a business that's going to allow me to live the life that I want to live, and then also uh, support my return into real estate, because it is no matter how abundant and emerging the digital is, diversifying into the tangible, diversifying into physical real estate, uh, cash flowing assets are still, I believe, one of the most lucrative assets to have. So that's part of my plan. So in terms of digital marketing, I've been doing some consulting, helping various real estate brands. I've helped a couple people start from zero online social presence to becoming the leading real estate brand in their markets. Um, I have now partnered with an agency partner to help fulfill some content production. I've been piecing together a expert engine, a way to take a chunk of content once a week or once every 2 weeks with a business owner or an expert, and repurpose and create various pieces of content that are optimized for search engines and social media to build their presence online. When I first went down that path and I thought about what's my content strategy to do that, I wasn't too excited. I'm going to talk about how to grow on Instagram, 5 tips to grow your Instagram. That's really boring for me. But after a while of honing in on the the tool that we've built, the people that we want to work with, I've found a really exciting path, and also a really important path, because people are connecting more to people. The world is being built by the brands that we pay attention to. And right now, there are a very small selection of companies that have very powerful AI tools and user databases, networks. We're talking the big tech guys. They own and control most of our attention. The greatest defense we have against a technopoly is building our personal brands. The tribal community networks of the past are a potential way that we can start, like that buy local is essentially being replicated online, and I think that is one of the best ways to mitigate the absolute technopoly that is in charge uh, of this world and has all of the current attention and power uh, under their control right now. So the more people that have personal brands, that have alternative stories, alternative narratives, is a powerful thing. I think our network is our net worth. And so there's a lot of reasons why I've become uh, increasingly obsessed and committed to building this, essentially a digital marketing agency for people and business owners who want to build their presence online. And it's in the guts of a very noisy and competitive system, but based on the skills that I've acquired and the relationships that will be built as I help people do that. I see this as a very worthwhile kind of next step for me right now. So I will be referring to building presence online on this channel as we go forward. I plan on starting a video podcast as part of that, as a demonstration of this model, of this content machine that we've built. If you have people that you would like me to have conversations with and discuss with, let me know in the comments. I'll be looking at that. That's where I'm at. I don't know if I missed the drama. I could. I think drama is a powerful element of all of this, and unfortunately, I'm not the most dramatic person. I enjoy peace, but to enjoy peace, I've learned that we need to be capable of violence, that we need to be capable of aggressive action to not only create that peace, but to defend that peace. Thank you for joining this journey so far. I know not everyone will continue this journey with me. That's okay. I wish you all the best on your journeys. I'd like to wrap this up by a summary of how I perceive the world. I feel that right now we are at that point of that technological advancement. We're at that part where it goes vertical. AI, Web3, Great Reset, these things are changing the game completely. Things are accelerating very quickly. This is a time of profound change, of profound emergence. Our perspectives of what is happening will either limit us and miss out, or will allow us to adapt and to make the most of what is happening. The same way that the perspectives of Colombia held millions of people back to visit this place until now. Now it's going viral. Now everyone gets it. The same thing is happening with digital, with AI, with Web3. That's why there's so much hype. That's why there's so much speculation. And yes, there is overhype. Yes, there is over speculation. Okay, these are going to be cycles. I am on a mission to empower myself and anyone else who wants to join me to learn how to become anti-fragile, how to become independent of any singular government, nationality, or system, how to bring awareness to the way we live together. The tools that we have in our pockets, voice-controlled AI, is not just about finding information anymore. It's about doing things. More awareness of the opportunities that we have right now, the more decentralized, the more diversified away from the central narratives we are, And I believe that is very important considering the truth of what is happening behind the fear-driven headlines and narratives that control and capture our attention. I believe energy flows where our attention goes. So we should be really aware of what we're paying attention to. The real estate developers that we pay attention to are going to be building the future. The creators, the people, that we have to get over the fact that the social media isn't just about creators and influencers. We are all influencers now. I've been saying this since 2017. Like, this is a virtual analog of our civilization that we are creating. The way we structure our relationship with the digital will create our physical. Personally, I'm structuring my digital presence in a way that will allow me to have freedom of physical presence. How I do that? Click subscribe. See what happens next. I hope that explains it. I hope that is, I didn't have a particular point of this video. I wanted to kind of share with you, to bare my soul and share with you the real drama. There's a lot of different stories out there. If the people that I called out in this video want to come and discuss it on this channel, you are very welcome. Let's have a conversation on this channel. I'd be happy to share that so that we can see other sides to the story. There were obviously parts that I didn't get to see because I wasn't inside some of the rooms when the conversations were happening. So let's have those conversations. I want to have that invitation open to anyone who would like to clarify or correct anything that I've said. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm staying nimble. I've got a lot of different channels, a lot of different things that I'm building. So I'm going to keep some of my video production fairly lightweight. But exciting things are coming. I see a utopic future. And at the same time, I know of the grave risks of the AI technological enslavement that may be upon us, the widening gap of the wealthy, the haves and the have-nots. I do see a aesthetic, a future, a vision of each one of us upgrading, developing ourselves to take ownership of our personal worlds, which will inevitably crumble away anything else. As above, so below. If we're getting our inner worlds right, the outer world will follow. As cogs in the system, or cogs floating between different systems, I think that's the best thing we can do. Create a beautiful vision of the future and build that. See you in the next one.